Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, kicking off the $1 pick six at Saratoga on Whitney Saturday with race number 7. This is the restricted lure stakes going a mile and a 16th on the inner turf. $135,000 is the purse. Before we take a look at this nice field, remember to check out those Timeform US past performances available at DRF.com. Breakthrough PPs just got better. Learn more, DRF.com/TFUS. 101. Here's the field for the lure. This is a restricted stake for horses which have not won a graded race in 2023. Dakota Gold is the 5-2 morning line favorite. This is a rock solid New York bred coming off of a nice stakes win against fellow state breds.
Yeah, he's been facing state-bred company in his last couple of races, Dan, but they're pretty strong fields he was in against, and he's looked good in those two races. He seems like a 4-year-old who's really improved this year.
Let's look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Stretch out sprinter number 9, Midday Image, has speed. I have a feeling that the 8, Dr. Davis, is going to be on ascend because he has really picked up his game in his last 2 races when racing on the lead.
Yeah, I feel like this pace has a chance to get pretty fast, because I think you're right. Dr. Davis, it feels like they found his running style, and that's to be on the lead. So they might go in here. Midday Image stretching out. He'll probably go. The 4, Ocean at Atlantique. He's a really fast horse, and he could be part of this pace. This thing could heat up.
Speaking Scout has the LP flag, which indicates he has the fastest late Timeform US pace rating. If this pace gets fast, he could come with a good, strong late kick. He's certainly good enough to win a race like this. The number 1 is Portfolio Company, and he's coming off of a victory against Allowance Foes over yielding turf at Belmont. Let's watch Portfolio Company's race this day. He was able to stay right up close to the pace, and he sprints on home. It was a good-looking performance for this Chad Brown trainee seeking his 3rd straight win.
Yeah, this was a slow pace that he sat up close to, Dan, but it was at least nice to see him. I mean, he was under a very hard hold, but it was nice to see him settle a little bit and then finish this race off in the manner that he does. It's a really nice performance. 2 starts back, they really had their hands full trying to get this horse to rate. He finally did it. That was still a good win going 9 furlongs, considering how headstrong he was. And that's the real problem with him at this point. He's a very, very, very difficult horse to ride. But if you can get him to settle, he's got some talent.
He has some tactical speed, as does the number 2, Smokin' Tea, coming off of a runner-up effort in this stakes race, the Cliffhanger at Monmouth. Now, all in all, I thought he had a very nice pace-tracking, ground-saving trip. He eases out into the stretch. The winner just had a better trip, controlling the tempo up front.
Exactly. If you know anything about Big Everest, the horse who wins this race, you just know that when he gets comfortable on the early lead, he's really hard to run down. That was the case here. Smokin' Tea did get a good trip in his own right. He's very game through the stretch, Dan, but he's only 2nd best.
Dakota Gold is up next for Danny Gargan. Irad Ortiz Jr. coming off of that nice victory with a big figure against New York breds. This is the Hudson Valley at Belmont going a mile. He's sweeping wide on the outside, and once he strikes the front, he's very comfortable. He wins like an odds-on favorite should. He's just coming into this race in career form.
Yeah, he's been really good this year. His last 2 starts in particular, he just dominates this field off of a good trip. It's a really nice performance. 2 starts back in the Kingston. He didn't get a perfect trip in that race. He was really running at the end. City Man, the horse that wound up winning there, he's a New York bred, but he's a graded stakes quality horse, and this horse made a big run at him.
A horse getting intense class relief is another with tactical speed. That's the 4, Ocean Atlantique, who was in against the best turf horse in the country up to the mark in his last 2 races, grade 1s at Belmont and Churchill. He is more comfortable perhaps at this slightly shorter distance, although recently his best races have come on synthetic.
Yeah, that's one of the things I didn't really like about him that much, Dan. I mean, he's run some good races on turf, but he's 2 for 18 on this surface. So that bothers me a little bit. He's obviously getting big class relief here. That Manhattan last time, that pace was way too fast for him, and he paid the price. I think he's going to be forward in here.
Speaking Scout qualifies for this race because he hasn't won a graded event in 2023, but he is a grade 1 stakes winner. He won the Hollywood Derby last year, and he does boast a strong kick. Here's his most recent effort for Graham Motion, the grade 3 Monmouth, going a mile and an 1/8. Speaking Scout's going to get to the outside here, and he's going to run 3rd. He's very, very late to change leads in this race, but he's a consistent horse, and he should be charging in the lane.
I think so too. He runs fine in this race. That he actually made a bit of an early move in here and sort of forced this pace to pick up, and then he just got out finished by, two pretty nice horses. Never Explained came back to run well again in his next start. Catnip came back and was grade 1 placed in his next start. This horse ran fine in that race. I also thought he ran well 2 starts back in the dinner party.
In from Europe is the number 6. That is Chesesme, who just missed last time out in a handicap at the Curragh in Ireland. Wasn't facing the top competition over there, but seems like a nice fit here.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're shipping him over here, Dan, for this owner trainer, James Stack, because this horse, you can see all the layoff lines early on. Nothing was going right for this horse early on. He was really hard to handle. He would get bad trips in his races. They wound up gelding him. There were a bunch of layoffs. His last 3 starts, he looks like a totally different horse. He smashed that field on the all-weather. He came right back and was super impressive winning on turf. He ran great last time in a big field. He was blocked until very late in that race and then made a big run at the end behind a front-running winner. This horse is in great form right now.
Tis the Bomb is the number 7. Another horse, certainly with the class to win this race. A graded stakes winner on synthetic. He won the Jeff Ruby Stakes as a 3-year-old. He's a graded stakes winner on turf as well. I thought the trip just didn't work out for him last time out at Ellis Park. He was down inside, turning into the stretch. Kind of had to weave his way through traffic and was making up a little bit of late ground. With the clear run and enough pace, he kicks in the lane. 10-1, I think, is a fair price.
I agree with all that stuff, Dan. It does feel like maybe he's rounding back into form. I'll just say this about him. He was good as a 2-year-old. I didn't love him as a 3-year-old, but they were trying different things with him there. They obviously wanted to want him in a Kentucky Derby, and all that stuff didn't really work out. The one thing that I don't love about him is it feels like his form has picked up lately when they started going really longer distances with him. Now they're going to try and drop him back. I don't know if it's going to work out, but his good race makes him tough in here.
Dr. Davis has really picked up his game in his last 2 starts when adopting pace-setting tactics, as he did in this start at Laurel last time out, where he just got loose on the lead. And in the form he's in right now, with the fractions he set down, you can't afford to let a horse like Dr. Davis get loose on the lead. He looks good striding through the stretch to win. He won at Pimlico on the turf 2 starts back when he got loose over a rock-hard course that might have favored speed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's had all the best of it in his last 2 starts, but if nothing else, he's looked pretty good finishing those races off, and he's 20-1 on the morning line here, so I wouldn't totally dismiss him. This is supposed to be a lot tougher for him, though.
Midday Image is up in distance. You could argue up a little bit in class, but he has won going 2 turns in the past. I believe a Claiming Crown winner a while back. Here's his most recent start at Monmouth on Haskell Day, the Wolf Hill Stakes. There was an electric pace going on, and Midday Image settled into a fine spot in the second flight. He came with a 4-wide bid. He has a look at it, Mike, but he just can't forge by and finishes 3rd in a 1-paced manner.
I like the finish that he puts in here. You're right. Maybe he flattens out just a bit here. He's probably better when he can be forward in his races. They're going to try and stretch him back out here. And that's probably the plan, Dan. But there is some speed to his inside in this race. You don't have to worry about distance with him. He can go this far. But all of his good route races are when he's loose on the lead.
Well, let's take a look at our top selections for the lure, kicking off the $1 pick 6. I think this is a wide open race. I want to look for a price. You do as well. You might have sniffed something out with this European horse who had trouble last time out when wired. Looks like he's got a lot of upside. He's got to be a price.
He's got to be a fair price in here. He's got a very handy running style too, Dan. He just feels like he's totally turned his life around recently. So I think it's very interesting that they're shipping him over here to run in this race. His last 3 races are real good.
I want to see Midday Image get aggressive out of the gate, maybe sit just off Dr. Davis. I know the distance is within his scope. If they don't go too fast early, I think he has a chance to spring an upset, but this looks like a spread race to me. 9-3-5-2. Mike's going 6-3-5-1. Nice way to kick off the pick 6 on Whitney Saturday at the Spa with the lure. Good luck.